Well, my name is Eric Byrd, and I'm Eric Byrd of the Eric Byrd Trio, which is a really nice relationship there. And so this music is very, very special. This record is going to be really, really special because in the history of the band, we've been together almost 20 years now. We've never done anything like this before. We've never had a project that has wrapped around this spiritual center that's always kind of been under the surface of all the things that we've done. But this time we decided to put it right on Front Street. We put it right on Broadway, where we're just overtly kind of taking spirituals and gospels and hymns, and we're arranging it in a jazz kind of a style. We've also invited some amazingly talented special guests, and we've never really done that in such an overt way. So this record is very special from a lot of different perspectives, in that we're programming it around a spiritual core, and we're also inviting some top shelf, top-notch musicians to share in that vision, and that's what the project is all about. So I think what's special about the marriage of jazz and gospel, and even if you want to throw the blues in there, is that it all comes out of this African or African American diaspora of sacred music. You know, the music, the wellspring of the music comes out of these pockets of creativity. So you have the blues, which might be the kind of the evil twin of gospel music. And then out of that comes this improvisational kind of a thing that, of course, jazz springs out of. So for me, I'm a church boy. So I grew up in church. I grew up with hymns. I grew up with gospel music. I grew up with all of that stuff. So whenever we get together to start programming or thinking about a new recording or a new project or just what we want to do, even in terms of arrangements and new repertoire, for me, it always comes out of this idea of who I am as an individual musically. And then I marry that with the genius of Bhagwan and Alphonso, and then it becomes this thing. So it becomes uniquely ours because of the jazz framework that we operate in. At our core, we are a jazz piano trio. So that incorporates the Bill Evans, the Wynton Kellys, the Red Garlands, even the Keith Jarrett's and the Herbie Hancock kind of thing. We are a jazz trio, but we are incredibly influenced by where we've come from. And so where I've come from is the church, and I love the blues, and I love gospel music and church music, and so that's kind of the marriage. So the special guests we have on the record are, I can't think of an adjective. I'm struggling because they took the music to a whole other level. We have trumpeter Terell Stafford, who is not only a world-class musician, but he's also an educator. So he brings that kind of framework, that kind of mentality to the music. And then we have on reeds, on saxophone, we have Tim Warfield, who I was attracted to his playing because he doesn't really sound like anybody else. He has his own bag. I can hear the influences in his playing, but he's in the space that he plays out of, he's totally free. He doesn't seem to be bound by really anything. He's a free kind of a player. And so I know that Terell and Tim play a lot together. So I thought it'd be great to bring them into the studio and kind of match them with what we do, because the trio's been together for so long. They've played together for a long time. And I think when you hear those tracks, you'll hear that I think it makes a really nice kind of a pocket together. So they just took it to a whole other level. Well, here's the advantage of playing with musicians that are basically, we've been the same for the last 20 years. It's been the same personnel for the last 20. When you make music with your family, it's just different. When I think about music, I immediately think about what Al is going to do. And when I'm thinking about an arrangement or a harmonic thing, I'm thinking about what B is going to do.
If you were in a situation where you were doing what you love more than anything with people that you love more than anyone, I mean, that's really the best explanation I could give you, in terms of working with these two very special people. in the format, you know, working in a piano trio, as a drummer, I think that it allows you to be a little more open, a little more creative. You know, other situations, there are other demands that you have you have responsibilities towards. You know, and once you bring horn players into it, you have to present things in a certain way. But in a piano trio, there's just so much openness, and especially with these guys, because everything is instinctive. We know. Therefore, there's this sense of freedom. I could do anything virtually. I would like to think I could, at least.
We have a lot of stories, and there's a lot of like inside humor and jokes and everything we say. Even right now I'm laughing because there's like 20 things that I could say that would, you know, be embarrassing or funny or whatever. So I'll avoid all of that and just say that it's great to play with the same people forever, because you really do anticipate what is going to come next. You have a better understanding of, you know, these little details.
I'm very excited. I think the material and the subject matter is really the premise of what makes this one really special. And the timeliness of it. You know, the world that we're living in is very complex. Things are going on that, you know, that are just not pleasant. And the music that we're presenting on this particular project, I feel that it is pleasant. It does represent happiness. It represents a sense of peace, which I think we really need right now.
I've been fortunate enough to be playing at Eric's church up in Columbia, and I love the music. It's great. It's inspiring. Maybe the most interesting thing to me is that, yes, this is the best record we've done. I think the world is in a pretty interesting place and heading into, I think it's a tough time for a lot of people. So I think that this music is, it's more relevant now than ever.
The playing is great. The musicianship is at a high level. I take it as a compliment. I'm assuming it's meant that way, but we get a lot of fans that say, you know, I'm not a super huge jazz head. I don't buy jazz records all the time, but I like your music because it's beyond just jazz. It's beyond just a category. It's just good music. And so we've got vocals on there. We've got stuff with the horns in a quintet sound. We've got piano trio stuff. So I think that if you like good music, you're going to like this record. This is going to be something really special.